With the end of the Vietnam War in 1975, President Gerald Ford ordered the evacuation of Vietnamese orphans during the mission known as Operation Baby Lift. 4-year-old Kristopher Larsen was one of those children. He was adopted by an American military family. He was raised into what he calls an all-American family.
I would say my life was the typical kid that was raised in Alaska, always in the outdoors, always with family. It was just, to me, it was the perfect life.
Larsen attended university and embarked on an IT career. In time, he got married, had 2 children, and moved to Seattle.
At one time, I had everything that I could possibly want.
Until he didn't. After a difficult time in his marriage, followed by a drinking binge, Larsen's wife took the children and left.
And that kind of drove me over the deep end, and I decided that I would have a suicide by cop, and I did that by kidnapping somebody else.
He kidnapped a 9-year-old and then called her parents to demand money. A Washington state judge sentenced Larsen to 12 years in prison, and that's where U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement found him.
They told me that I would lose my job in prison. I wouldn't be able to do any educational services in prison. Basically, all the rights that a typical inmate would have, I ended up losing because I was told that I have an order of deportation.
To the American government, Larsen was an undocumented Vietnamese national with a criminal record.
My family were like, there's no way you have an order of deportation. You're adopted, you're a citizen, you've been in our family since '75.
But the government says his family failed to apply for Larsen's citizenship. An estimated 35,000 foreign nationals adopted by American parents do not have U.S. citizenship status because their parents didn't follow through on naturalization.
They knew, but the process was so expensive or so cumbersome, and they had already gone through a pretty extensive and expensive adoption process, so they just didn't do it. Or 3, that adoptees have been placed in abusive households, and so their adoptive parents just didn't do it.
Belcourt says in 2001, Congress passed a law giving automatic citizenship to adoptees from other countries. The legislation, however, only applies to people born after 1983. To fill in the loophole, the Adoptee Rights Campaign is behind the Adoptee Citizenship Act. The bill stalled in Congress last year, but advocates are working to reintroduce the law. Out of prison, Larsen has not been deported yet, because Vietnam will not take its citizens who came to the U.S. before 1995.
Now I'm stuck. I can't leave U.S. soil.
Aline Barrows, VOA News, Seattle, Washington.